Here we go. Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Isn't it the best day ever? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, they can hear us now, I think.
Oh, we have a big show.
Today is 8/18/2019. You missed all of our flubs to start with.
That's great.
It's really good.
I still didn't get to tell you about my finger.
Tell them about your finger.
I got attacked by a wild boar. No, he's the most docile, calm little guy you'll ever meet. But he gets some glucosamine for his knee. And I had the bread there, and I put my hand there, and he just thought my finger was in the way, and so I'm alive. I still have my finger. I was thinking about this morning. I'm just really glad to still have a finger, even though it
Poor
hurt.
Malachi. He didn't mean it.
I think once he realized that he had human flesh in his mouth, he stopped. Could have been a lot worse. It's still not awesome.
The jaws and teeth of any swine are powerful.
No, dude, I started to have a mini panic attack thinking about that, and
don't think about it.
I actually had to do something else thinking about it. So, I'm just glad I have 3 other fingers we can use today. It's fantastic.
And a whole thumb.
That's right. I don't know if I could press. I could probably scroll with my thumb. All right, China amasses large army against Hong Kongers.
I would like to hang on. There's a caveat to your accent here because we've had people think that we're making fun of Asian people. The Asian accent just so happens to be the most enjoyable to do.
Fun, okay?
It's really fun, but it's
look, guys,
we do this for all other accents. We do a poor imitation, so we're not making fun of Asian people.
Gotta lighten things up.
Lighten up.
All right, especially considering what's going on in China.
Terry got her elderberries.
All right, good job.
I want mine. Our birds eat all ours.
Yep. All righty, members of China's paramilitary People's Army Police have marched and practiced crowd control tactics. I got to show you some of these crowd control tactics. Let's see.
Oh, that's like really big. Like tiny little people in there.
Yeah, they're practicing like what would happen if somebody brought flames against them. So
what are they carrying? Oh, like trash cans.
They've got these little like
they're shields.
Tridents. No, you can't really see them. They have these little tridents. They're to like pin somebody down. They're supposedly electrified.
No way.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. Well,
like a staff.
Yeah, trident.
Wow.
Yep. So I'm gonna play today. Today is a big day in Hong Kong. I thought I brought up the tweet where you can see. Okay.
I'm trying to just take care of these other videos.
Look at this, you guys. This is the new Chinese government propaganda video showing thousands of paramilitary police gathering outside of Hong Kong. Watch this.
Get out.
Like. Like, this is put out by them.
I wish I knew what they were saying.
We're gonna kill you. Go home now.
Oh my gosh, unstinking real.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So honestly, though, they don't get enough food, so I'm not really worried about the Chinese military there.
But hang on, though. You're saying they. I bet the military gets more food than the regular people.
They're pretty skinny people.
I'm just saying.
But okay, so here's the opposite. Here we have Hong Kong. It's raining all day here. But
It's absolutely extraordinary. This march is actually banned by the police, but you can't ban this number of people. I've never seen anything like it. It's made slightly more dramatic by all the umbrellas because it has been absolutely pouring with rain. We can't estimate even remotely how many people are there. The last time this group organised a rally, it's 2 million people. Our local guys say it could be even more. Very difficult to say. I've never seen anything like this.
Never seen anything like it. There's just so many people out today. So here's the streets of Hong Kong today.
So I have a problem here. And I'm going to tell you my problem. My problem is the fact that I'm looking at all these people out in the rain with umbrellas being very peaceful. Mm-hmm. And in that Chinese propaganda video that they're probably playing all over China, and anybody maybe even in the United States that's Chinese, like that Mulan actress or whatever, is getting wind of that and like, well, of course we would want the military to step in if those people are rioting and being horrible and awful and, you know, damaging, you know, public property and hurting people and whatever. And those people are very, very peaceful looking.
Yeah, okay, so the rebel has Avi Yamini in Hong Kong.
That's impressive.
So here, you guys got to see some of his interviews with the Hong Kongers. It's pretty powerful.
Specifically, so there are a lot of mainlanders who come here to like shop every single day, and then that's caused a huge disturbance to our society here. So our primary demand is to have the government to strictly control the tourists that's coming here, so it doesn't cause a disturbance to the community. But other than that, we are also wanting the 5 demands to be answered by the government. Do you know the 5 demands on strike? So the first thing is we want the extradition law to be completely withdrawn. So Carrie Lam has not been promising to withdraw it, so we really want that, like the government to reply to that. Secondly, we want to set up an independent inquiry to the police because they've been very brutal to the protester. So we want an independent investigation and then have the corresponding outcome that is suitable in response to the police brutality. And the third thing is we want the release of all the protesters that have been arrested. Fourthly, we want universal suffrage should be implemented, which is promised by the basic law. So our Hong Kong people want to choose our own chief executive. The fifth one is that we want the classification of riot to be withdrawn as well, because we are not rioters, and a lot of the protests are peaceful, but then they got wrongly classified as riot. So we want that to be withdrawn as well. So we want the...
So at the moment, what is rioters, what's it defined as?
Basically, even for the 12th of June protest, the government has defined it as a riot. But then we haven't killed anyone. We didn't do any indiscriminate damage or attacks to civilians like the police or the gangs did. So we are simply being very peaceful, sitting in or like rallying for our 5 demands to be answered.
Wow. Well done, Avi.
So, yeah, well done, Avi.
And that young lady had some excellent points. Listen, the Hong Kong people have the right of suffrage. That's the right to elect their executive, you know, representative or whatever.
Right.
And they aren't being given that. So by law, I mean, China is doing things illegally.
Yeah, definitely. I do have, and pray for us because I want to play a small clip here from, and this is the only place I can find it. Not there. No, we're not. We're going to get to that
Majesty's
in a minute.
own
words. We will get to the foregoing in a second.
Members of the
just shush. Shh. Okay,
we're
going to get to Nigel.
Shush to them.
We're going to get to everybody. Everybody, you're going to have your turn. No, we don't want Boris. No, we don't. Not yet. Not yet. Not your time. It's not your time. Where is Channel 4?
I thought we weren't playing Channel 4.
I got a little video I got to play from Channel 4.
Okay, so if this video gets taken down, you will know if you ever go to watch it later, it's because Leah played a Channel 4 clip. No, that's serious. It's legit. It'll probably get taken down.
No, I'm going to play a little tiny clip. I'm not going to play the whole thing.
It'll get taken down.
Just give me a second and I will fight it. Because I think this is the only way I can find this woman. She is... This is a former, I don't even know exactly who she is. So let me,
If you stop it like every 5 seconds.
22 years ago. Now, the woman who was Hong Kong's most senior civil servant, chief secretary under both British and Chinese sovereignty, says it's time Britain stood up and spoke out in defense of its former colony. Failure to do so,
Okay,
she
pause
warns.
it real quick.
So I'm going to pause it. We're going to try to keep pausing it so we can hey, guess what? You're the only one with this interview. This woman, Channel 4. This is fair use. I need everybody to see what she has to say here. Okay.
Will have global consequences.
Britain must continue to make China deliver on its promises.
Dame Anson Chan. She says Britain must continue to make China deliver on its promises.
Which it is not at the moment. Britain has a particular moral and legal responsibility towards ensuring that one country, two systems is faithfully implemented as the co-signatory to the joint declaration. It is in everyone's interest that China keeps to its word, because if it walks all over one country, two systems in Hong Kong, then Britain and the rest of the world should be asking themselves, can we continue to trust the word of China?
Okay, so I will just play. I will stop it there. You guys can watch it. Hong Kong calls for Britain to take a stance on crisis. I think this is really important because you can say what you want about British colonialism. You can say that it was bad and, blah, 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 blah. But I'm going to tell you something. Right now, I guarantee you everybody wishes that they had British control
over Chinese
control.
Absolutely.
Okay. And I even have a video here where Avi is interviewing a man and he says, I would rather have right now British control.
Well, because British control is a democracy.
Right.
Whereas this is communism.
This protest specifically, so there are a lot of mainlanders who come here to shop every single day, and then that's caused a huge disturbance to our society here. So our primary demand.
See, is this might be the same video? Hang on. I think this might be the same video. I have a couple videos up.
The government to reply.
Yeah. So hang on. I got more Antifa, you guys. Yesterday. That's a whole nother show. Okay, Avi's, let me go back to Avi Mini because he, or even just the Rebel, because the Rebel was putting out all of Avi's videos today. I'm down to 3 fingers now, so just bear with me.
She literally texts Kansas and I this morning, and she's like, pray for my finger, it almost fell off.
Something like Nazi.
Here we go. Play for me. Play for me.
If we don't fight here now, we'll lose forever. It's no more Hong Kong.
Wow.
China is an evil party. Hong Kong, no more to stand with China. We need independence.
Yeah. And what's your message to? Have you seen Donald Trump? Do you think he should step in?
Donald Trump don't trust China. China is asshole.
We want the British government to come back and rule us again. We don't want the Chinese government to rule us anymore.
You want the British to come back?
Yes, of course. The Chinese government is terrible.
What's your message to people who call the old British government a colonial power that used to abuse the entire world?
No, simply we just want the British government to come back and rule us again. Is that simple? Okay.
So you think the British did well?
The British government did very well.
Why have we got an American flag here today?
Because we appreciate the American spirit. We fight for freedom and democracy till death.
Okay. And so if you could send a message to Donald Trump, what would it be?
Mr. Trump, we are very humble and powerless people in Hong Kong, and we know that when the Americans fight for their independence, they need to pay a lot, like for blood and life, and we are prepared for that. And in any moment, if you can help us, like the American people and President Trump, please help us.
And I would like to have this chance to thank President Trump that speak things in Hong Kong for us.
especially a few days ago, he speak with a lot of powerful people in different countries about Hong Kong situation, and we appreciate that and thank you for him to help us speak out the situation in Hong Kong.
And something we want to say to the American common people is that be careful of the Chinese business activity, because actually they will slowly corrupt your whole country. The workers who are in
the crew that joined the protest, China request Cathay Pacific to give out a list of their crews that joined the protest, and then the CEO refused. So we think that he is forced to resign his position.
Two of them. One of them is CEO. I mean, Cathay Pacific is our company. Why the hell the communists can remove the CEO from us? We are very angry about this. And a few days ago, something happened in the residential area in Hong Kong, a city called an area called Sha Tin. In the residential area, the government started to build the facial recognition system, which is the first step of their social credit system. They are trying to make Hong Kong like Xinjiang right now. I mean, if we fail this time, Hong Kong will be the second Xinjiang, and all of us, they already arrested 700 people. I'm sure they will end up in Xinjiang concentration camp. In my mind, the communists, they're actually like Nazi. I mean, this is what I want to say to the American people and Trump, and also to the rest of the world. This is our duty to fight against something like Nazi. Yeah.
If we don't fight here now, we will lose forever. It's no more Hong Kong.
No.
It's not if we lose in this battle, Hong Kong is not even an international city. It's just a state inside of China.
Why should Americans care?
Because Americans are very, how to say it, they care for the freedom and democracy, and we are fighting for this now. So
I think they can choose not to care. I mean, it's actually it's really practically not their business. I in my heart I know that, but it's like we are raising conscience. It's like if you want to save us, if you want to safeguard this world, then support us.
If you want to safeguard this world, then support us.
In my heart, I know it's none of your business. I know you don't have to. I know that this is not your battle or your fight. Right. But China is the biggest, and this is what's so funny. Here's the thing, guys. If the media literally cared about you and I and a global threat, it literally would be China, China, China every single day. Right. And we would literally stop imports from China right now, today. Yeah. There wouldn't be just tariffs from China. We would stop all imports from China. And we would, hey, guess what? The Philippines, you need cheap goods? Guess what? There are other little Asian people that you can exploit for your little iPhones and things like that, okay? There are other people. If China's not going to do it, then businesses will start up in other slave labor countries. So you don't have to use China for your slave labor.
Speaking of business, I don't know.
Cheek there, but seriously,
we paused when this was addressed, but I was so excited to hear this young lady say, "Listen, you need to be watching about what China's doing in your country, and China literally is trying to take over America. They're trying to take over the world. This is the epitome of a communistic, I don't know, call to arms, or, this is their creed. That's what they do. Right. Communism is never satisfied with just taking over their own country. Yeah. It doesn't work that way. And so the fact that the Chinese government, that military
propaganda... It's like
propaganda,
a black hole. Here's the thing. Communism is a black hole. If it has the ability, it will continue to...
But that propaganda video that we played should scare the bejesus out of you, because that is a military communist takeover. We're coming into your country. We will subdue you. You will be submissive to us. And I'll tell you something, and I understand that there's a language barrier, right? But the guy that was saying, we want the British people to come and rule us. Well, I think it kind of shows their unfortunately morphed view of what government is supposed to be.
Somebody
to
needs
be
to
ruled.
rule them. Yeah.
You know, if Britain was there, they would have representatives and, you know, but it shouldn't be Britain. Hong Kong can rule. You can rule yourself.
Right.
Self-ruling, self-governing.
Right. I'm going to play this little clip here. Emily Lau is the foreign affairs coordinator for the Hong Kong Democrat Party.
So I think the police, they are very aware of the bad image they are getting internationally. So they want to tell the press, no, we're not going to invite them to come in. But on the other hand, there are some people over there who want to scare the Hong Kong people. So I think, by and large, the people don't expect them to march across the boundary.
You're here for the protest. Can you tell us what is the protest movement? What are they fighting for?
Well, initially it was about an extradition bill which would allow the government to send people from Hong Kong to mainland China for trial. And of course, although we are not a democracy in Hong Kong, but we have the rule of law, independence of the judiciary. But in mainland China, it's complete lawlessness. So people are very frightened and could not understand why the government of Carrie Lam would want to do a stupid thing like that, particularly ever since 1997, when Britain handed Hong Kong back to China. They have been negotiating with the mainland for a deal and could not get anywhere. So you know how difficult it is. And suddenly, out of the blue, because of a Taiwan homicide case, Carrie Lam came out to make the proposal. So the whole town just blew up. And then in the end, because so many people marched and many foreign governments, including the Canadian government and others, spoke out. So she came out and said, okay, we stopped the bill. The bill is dead. And people say, what do you mean? Why don't you just use a proper language saying the bill has been completely withdrawn? And she refused. And then in the meantime, there were many demonstrations. Many were peaceful, attracting 1 to 2 million people. But some, the young people, they had confrontation with the police. And the police beat up a lot of people. And so far, they have arrested over 700 people already. So the people say, well, there should be an independent inquiry looking into the whole saga. Why did the government make such a blunder? And why did the police behave in such a brutal way? And of course, some of the protesters also attacked the police. So we want a comprehensive inquiry. And she refused. So that's why today, the Civil Human Rights Front, which organized the big march for 1 million and 2 million, they're organizing another march. But the police said, no march. But you can have a rally in Victoria Park. But the capacity of the park is only about 100,000.
And they have more than 100,000 people that want to show up.
Right.
And that's a problem.
Exactly. So what just keep Hong Kong in your prayers today. It says
and tomorrow and the next day and the next day.
Asked if Hong Kong police could maintain order or if mainland Chinese intervention is becoming inevitable, Hong Kong Police Commander Yao Man-poon said that while they face tremendous pressure, I can tell you we're confident the police have the capability to maintain law and order. Germany, meanwhile, said it considers China to be a responsible actor that will respect Hong Kong laws, guaranteeing freedom of speech and rule of law. Government spokesman Stefan Seibert said Friday that Hong Kong's 1997 basic law, under which the city was promised a high degree of autonomy when the former British colony returned to China, is a Chinese law, and as such, we naturally expect the People's Republic of China to
naturally.
Weeks of protests in Hong Kong have been marked by increasing violence and a shutdown of the Hong Kong airport earlier this week. A weekend of protests began Friday night with a university student-led Power to the People rally in Charter Garden. Pro-democracy march is planned for Saturday, along with 2 separate pro-government Save Hong Kong rallies ahead of a pro-democracy rally called for Sunday. And police denied permission for that march, but there they are.
Let me read a couple of comments here. Let's see. Rigor Mortis says, I live right next to China in North America, Vancouver, and they have CCP agents in the city watching expats and Chinese citizens living there.
Wow.
Let's see. Dale Jones says the USA should trade Puerto Rico to China and we will take Hong Kong instead. We would get the better end of the deal most certainly.
Yep, good idea.
Bert Baza says, Michelle, unfortunately the UK will not help the Hong Kongese protesters because the UK government want a free trade deal. I personally think that the UK government is wrong, we have a responsibility. Stuart the Brit says, if China allows this to continue, the whole of China would go into revolt. They would have so many different tribes who want out. I don't know what that's supposed to be, sorry. So they will come down hard. Let's see. I guess that's it. Okay. Oh, on Facebook Live, we have Chris Daniel that says, if China arrested Hong Kong people, they would send them to re-education camps. China 100% wants to take advantage of Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a capitalist system, and they have prospered. Well said.
While I was filming, this is a tweet here. While I was filming this, an Indian tourist was telling his son and a Japanese tourist, you don't realize how lucky you are to be from a country with freedom until you see people who are desperately fighting for it. A person from India.
Oh my gosh. Because people from India actually do often feel like they have, and comparatively, they do have more freedom.
But they still have the caste system, which Modi actually that's world news today. Modi is getting rid of the caste system, where if you were born as a sanitation worker, you had to stay a sanitation worker, and your kids had to stay sanitation workers. Oh my gosh! Modi,
I did not know that.
Yeah. Still, caste system still alive and well in India.
But how does that a lot for technology development? Because we know a lot of our call centers
can't get education and stuff like that.
All of our call centers go to India. So how do people transfer from being?
Those are the richest and wealthiest of the country. Are the call center people?
Wow.
Yeah, those are the most educated people in the country. So I just wanted to go over here. I've never seen such a massive protest like this. Hong Kong. Look at this, you guys. I don't think it has any audio, but just count. You can't count. That's like looking at trying to catch somebody beans.
I would say that's everyone. No, I'm serious.
I would say that's everyone.
It's got to be everyone.
It's only 7 million.
Everyone has fled to the streets that is able.
Yeah.
This is the entire country. So if China tries to... So we've had some comments on our coverage of this. Specifically from someone named Johnny. If you're watching, Johnny, I have no idea who you are. And I don't have time to read all of your comments because there are too many. But Johnny, obviously, given the way that the comments are written, I think that they are from China or Hong Kong or something. And they keep telling us how wrong we are about this. How much we are in the wrong, and they need to educate us about what's going on. So you also need to educate every single person in Hong Kong, because every single person in Hong Kong is wrong. That's not the way democracy works. Every single person in Hong Kong, if they want to change their government, they have the right to do that and not be under the thumb of someone else.
Here we go.
Listening for 5 requests. What is it?
The main point is no China is tradition bill. Then the next one is free Hong Kong. Revolution now. The police.
Wait, watch.
Actually, no the police, right? Don't the police. We are very peaceful. We just need to tell the police that we don't give them a
the Communist Party.
We don't need the extradition bill, right? We don't fucking need the fucking.
Wow, he's actually saying it, but it's kind of muted.
Trying to not, I think there's a language, barrier.
Well, like when we said, we've used some British words that, like bollocks or something. I think that's not appropriate. Here it just sounds like another everyday word. Now that I know what it is, I understand that that's unacceptable.
Okay,
but
so
I think that that's where we have the language. I don't think they quite understand the intensity of the F-bomb.
This was from Friday night.
Whoa, loud.
And every time I make it big, they were singing that. I realized that now Twitter won't let me make things big. So, anyways, I think you guys get the point.
So many people. So many people.
And so I would say this, to China, who obviously has trolls out in force to try to talk to people on YouTube.
Yeah.
On any.
Well, I don't know. I think they're kind of brainwashed, though.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think that China pays a lot of people to get information.
Could be. Oh, yeah. Okay, could
information. So we have a friend, a Chinese friend, whose parents are in the government, and he came here for the first time from China, and he stayed with Americans, and Americans gave him a Bible. And he came and stayed with us, and we didn't really mention God around him. We did play our songs for him that are Christian. And we get a letter from him, an email, about 30 days later. He was doing a bicycle trip around the country. His name is Chi. And he met up with some Christians, some Chinese Christians who became Christians here. That's the something that Chinese government has to fear when they send people over here is if they get involved with Christians who tell them that God loves them, that God has a purpose for their life, that God puts in every single person the right to life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness, that you're an autonomous individual and you should never have a government tell you what to do, and that we come together under common laws to protect our country and to protect our property rights and to protect us from doing criminal things. But in China, as Chi told us, from a place of brainwashing that it was okay, they told them what to eat, when to eat, how much to eat. They told them what job they could have. You had to fill out a piece of paper, and they said, this is the job that you're going to have. Right. Very little freedom of movement. They can't even, I mean, imagine your government telling you that you can't go from one city to the next city, much less your government telling you that you can't leave the country for a vacation or a trip or something like that. Right. And then the worst of it was when he was here, they still had the one-child policy. And he said, well, you can still have 2 children, but you have to pay a lot of money. So he said that in China, much of the government is corrupt. If you have money, you can get away with anything. You just buy off people. And that's the way communism works. Communism works to where you control the mass of people, and then you get bribed. I mean, that's what it was when we were in Russia, where if you get pulled over from the police, you pull out $50 or $100 and you bribe them, which was a lot back in the 90s, right? Yes. And that's the communism is the most corrupt form of government because it stifles everything and it breeds literally like a bacteria in heat. Corruption, right? And so I am disgusted with our own politicians and businesses who say, you know what, I don't care. My bottom line is more important. So I'm going to take my business to China. So I'm going to use their labor, cheaper labor, to get things done. Right. I am disgusted with China. I'm disgusted with people who work with China. And I think that we should open up more roads to people who are actually making steps toward freedom. Right? So if North Korea starts to make more steps towards freedom, then... But when progress starts to go backwards, which China is going backwards, according to freedom, right? With the whole social credit score and facial recognition, we have to do a full stop. Hey guys, it's not worth it to have cheap goods. If our lives stop moving forward or whatever because we don't have cheap goods from China, then our lives aren't built on a good foundation to begin with. Right. And guess what? Necessity is the mother of invention. If we need something, 2 days later, there will be an American upstart company putting things out. It might be a little bit more expensive, but you'll feel better about it. We'll feel better about it. And this started happening in the 80s. We always heard, don't buy things from China. Try to boycott China. But you can't try to boycott China because everything's made in China.
If you buy a computer that's made in the U.S., it's just compiled.
Most of our Bibles.
It's just built. All the parts come from.
Most of our Bibles are printed in China. And actually... That was one thing that Donald Trump literally just took off the tariff list was Bibles. Very interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'd love for Bibles to be printed here.
Well, he actually backed off all the, not all of them, I think almost all the tariffs from China for right now.
Well, there's a deal. It's up in
because of the... Now, I wanted to hit on the population of Hong Kong. It's just below New York City.
It's not real big.
So it's less than 8 million people.
Yeah, it's about 7
million
people.
So when we said that's everyone, and that woman said there were millions in the streets... We're pretty close. That's just about everyone. Right. Everyone in Hong Kong is ready to be free from China. So they have that right. They have that right. And I'll be honest, you know, we've got Cal Exit, right? We've got all the people not all the people, but we have people in California wanting to secede from the union. You know what? If every person in California chose to do that, okay, fine, I don't care. Whatever. I understand that we are a republic, okay? So if an entire state decides not to be part of our republic because they want us to be a democracy and they use democratic means to pull from the union, okay, fine. So if Hong Kong doesn't want to be part of communist China, they have the right to not be a part of communist China. Yeah. Okay, I mean, they are large enough to make that happen, especially if every Hong Kong person is standing behind it.
Yeah. Can't kill us all. Okay.
Oh, and that one woman I wanted to comment, she spoke very good English.
Yeah.
The last one. Then she actually was obviously very wise. She's got some experience under her belt.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really impressed with her.
Yeah.
And thank you, Avi Yamini, for going and doing that. He's so great.
Commercial break. This is what we call our commercial breaks, where a random piece of news. It doesn't have to go with a big chunk of news, because we're going to cover Brexit. We're going to go to some Nigel videos, which I've been missing. We haven't had a lot going on this week. And actually, we missed one. He was on Judge Jeannie's show last Saturday, so I'm going to have that clip today.
Oh, that's awesome.
So stick with us for that. In Greece, an Orthodox bishop resigns after conviction for hate speech.
Wow.
The Metropolitan Ambrosios of Kalavrita, a fiery conservative Greek Orthodox bishop known for criticizing, often in intemperate terms, those who he believed acted in non-Christian or non-Greek ways, including gays, migrants, and politicians, has resigned. He's 81. The Metropolitan achieved notoriety for his support for the far-right anti-immigrant Golden Dawn Party earlier this year. His pronouncements against gays led to his being sued and convicted by a local court of hate speech.
No way.
He was given a 7th-month suspension. Last year, he declared that a deadly wildfire near Athens was God's punishment for the atheist left-wing Greek prime minister at that time. So this to me is a little bit crazy. Because people are against a lot of people. So he's against gays, and I don't think that it should be right to say horrible things about people, even gay people. But he was convicted in court, and he was given a 7th-month suspension. He was actually convicted in court of hate speech.
That's really scary.
If you don't like somebody, I mean, like, half this country could be convicted of hate speech against Donald Trump. Why don't we just put them all in jail?
Right.
But he's not a protected class, so there you go.
Wow, that's in my group of friends, every once in a while, someone, and maybe I'm one of those people, will do something that makes me infuriated and angry. And of course, I'm just giving them a hard time. Okay. And I'll be talking to one of my other friends and saying, I want to punch him in the face for acting this way, for being an idiot or whatever. Okay. That doesn't mean I literally want to punch him in the face. But let's say we were China and we had all of this social recognition. We had everything that we do and say is monitored, not just typing it in a computer or an email or a text or whatever, but saying it out loud. You want to punch someone in the face. They can, come and arrest you because you have admitted that you have a violent intent.
But I don't even think it's not even like that.
This priest didn't have violent intent. He said that God did it. Yeah. And I think it's kind of scary to me a little bit, because Patriot Gallery posts things sometimes, and I guess I've even said it before as well, that something might be a result of the wrath of God.
How many times in the Bible did an angel go into prison and set people free? You think an angel can't go in and kill somebody? Maybe an angel went in and killed Epstein because he's a horrible person.
Exactly. So, if we were in Greece, Patriot Gallery could be come and taken away and arrested.
Except for I don't know if Epstein's a protected class.
I'm just saying.
So, officer killed, 10 arrests in third major violent attack on British police this week. Thames Valley Police has arrested 10 males aged between 13 and 30 on suspicion of murder after one of its officers was killed while investigating a burglary.
Wow.
PC Andrew Harper, who was part of the Rhodes police unit, died at 11:30 Thursday night. Thames Valley Police has kept the release of information pertaining to the officer's death to a minimum, confirming only that he was investigating burglary.
I think it's Thames.
What did I say, Thames?
You said Thames.
Oh, well, the Thames. Before his death. So this is really shocking. It's horrible. I can't even imagine.
So pause right there, though.
So pausing.
What happened in Pennsylvania here, in Philadelphia, was they went to serve a narcotics warrant.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, they opened fire. And because they didn't want to be arrested. Now, the left will come and tell you all of this happened and those police died because guns. These people were investigating a burglary where people are not supposed to have guns. And I doubt very seriously this police officer was killed by a gun.
Yeah.
So same situation.
Well,
one with guns, one without guns.
We had the machete attack.
They're still killing cops without guns.
We had, there was another, let's see, on Thursday, Ms. Patel's home office building was itself the scene of a violent attack when a man believed to be a home office security guard was stabbed in the face.
Oh my gosh.
Outside of the building.
Stabbed in the face. How can you even stab somebody?
Thursday night's killing happened in the same week. The 2 other police officers were violently attacked in the line of duty. Number one, MPS service constable was stabbed in the head with a machete during a traffic stop. Just a traffic stop.
Stabbed or chopped or sliced? Because a machete is hard to stab somebody with a machete. You might as well try and stab them with a baseball bat.
But remember, we covered this last week. A West Midlands police officer was run over by his own patrol vehicle.
Oh my gosh.
Stolen.
Yeah, the dude gets in the car, the police vehicle, and then runs the police officer over with his car, but guns.
We're just talking about a couple that make the news.
Unbelievable.
But between 2018 and 2019, there were 30,000 assaults on police officers in England and Wales, with assault without energy on a constable seeing an increase of 13% compared with the period before. The crimes of assault with injury we're seeing an increase of 27%.
Wow.
Is that crazy?
Let's see. Right next to Michelle, it's a puncture wound. I've been bitten in the face. I've been bitten in the face as well, but not by a person, by a dog. This scar right here from my own dog. God rest her soul. He says right below my left eye. Well, mine's on my right, so we have matching scars. On Facebook, Gary Hackman says, a gun is just a tool. It's the sick people who use them that's the problem. Now, I did miss a comment on Hong Kong back on Periscope, and I wanted to get to that from Refocus Zone. Says, good clips. Unfortunately for the Hong Kong people, China will never, ever let go of their control there.
Don't ever say never.
I would say
never say never.
God can move in miraculous ways. I think that you're right. China won't ever let go, but I think God could chop off its hands.
So here's the article I was looking for.
Stronghold, I should
Boris
say.
Johnson has announced the expanded police stop and search, 20,000 new police officers and 10,000 extra prison places. I guess that means rooms or something. Prime Minister Boris Johnson is to expand the police's powers of stop and search across the country in a bid to tackle the wave of violent, particularly knife crime, related crime. Writing an article for the Mail on Sunday, Mr. Johnson announced that a pilot scheme which provides police with greater powers to search people for knives would be rolled out nationwide.
But why do they have to have a scheme to stop people for knives? Because they're not doing that here in the United States. Why are they not doing it here in the United States, Leah?
Because we don't have this.
We don't have a knife problem. Why don't we have a knife problem, Leah?
Because we have guns.
Thank you. Well said. Shawnee says that Tracy is sitting here with a broken ankle. I forgot. Pray for Tracy because she did break her ankle. He says, don't believe that she did it falling off the bus. She did it trying to kick me. You're a liar and you know where liars go. Pray for your wife. And actually, Tracy says that he has been very, very helpful, doting on her and waiting on her hand and foot. Get it? Hand and foot?
Yeah.
That's funny.
That was funny. I get it. Just don't get hand and foot and mouth disease.
My job is to make your street safe.
So there's your propaganda. Hang on, there's your propaganda piece for the day.
Okay, but that's really great if it's real. I mean, if they're really going to start empowering the police in the UK, I'm all for it. I'm totally behind it. I think, it's interesting that what we're going to show in a little bit is Nigel kind of talking about, more police. But this comment here from Steve on Facebook, he says, and this is really, I've never heard anybody say this before. This is so right on. If guns were the problem with the amount that are out there, they'd know. If guns were really the problem, there are so many guns out there. You would be hearing about gun attacks all the time. You're hearing about knife attacks in the UK all the time because nobody is allowed to defend themselves. I had a dream last night because I always carry my knife that I was carrying this really long switchblade. It was about this long, unopened. So I mean, opened in my. It's like practically pulling my pants down. It's so heavy. And then I was like, wait a minute, it's illegal. And in my dream, I'm thinking it's illegal to carry a knife that's longer than 4 inches. And I'm like, I could get arrested. I probably shouldn't carry this thing around. But in my dream, I needed it for self-defense. And so I'm having to weigh. And we find this in Sweden. We find this in, I don't know, in the UK, are you guys allowed? I don't think you're even allowed to have mace in the UK.
Pepper spray is no-go in Finland, I think.
You have no means to defend yourself.
I think in the UK you can have pepper spray.
Okay.
But I know in Finland I don't believe you can because the girl was she going to be arrested? It's pretty crazy.
All right, carry on. I'm sorry.
This is the policing minister.
Have you worked out, presumably you have at this stage, where those extra police officers are actually going to go? I mean, where are they most needed right now?
No, so that's one of the conversations that we'll be having with police and crime chief constables across the... So the stage looks like this. So we're at about 123,000 police officers at the moment.
There was a plan already afoot from £1 billion of extra funding last year to recruit another 3,500 across the country. We're now putting in place to launch in September the next wave to get the 20,000 on top of that over the next 36 months. So and between then and now, we have to have a conversation about the deployment of those police officers and critically what they're going to be doing. Because what the public want to see is a restored sense of governance of the public realm, right? Alongside some of the enhancements to stop and search that we're putting in place today to deal with the big rise in knife crime that we really want to address assertively, we do need to address this general sense among the public that they want more reassurance from their police officers.
And do you kind of concede that you know, extra police officers is certainly a good thing, and many people within the police and elsewhere will be relieved to see that? Although, first off, it may not quite even get us back to the peak in 2010. I mean, we're not necessarily even going to hit that peak.
So, and that's the key there. From what I understood, you guys, like the lefty people, or maybe even the conservatives, I don't know who your government just slashed a bunch of police officers. And then now you don't have any, your crimes are not, like 13% of crimes ever get resolved.
I know. I'm curious about this because he's talking about 20,000 and an extra 20,000 on top of that. Are they going to increase the court system as well? Because you have to be able to process and punish these people. And then we've got to have prisons to hold them, because what we're seeing in the UK is they may be arrested and then they're just let off the hook. So it's not enough just to have more police, I don't think. I mean, I think it is really important because we need to be able to investigate these rapes and the knife crimes, and they're trying preventative measures because they think if they can do stop and search and get knives off of people, then that person will be like, oh, can't commit that crime, can't hurt that person, I don't have a knife to do it. It doesn't work that way, and that's the issue.
No, I mean, seriously, what was I reading about in history? Oh, well, here's the thing. If people want to kill people, they're going to kill people.
Exactly.
Lots of people. They can go in and slaughter whole communities. All right, so this was Nigel Farage last week on Judge Jeannie, so I'm going to play this.
That I know says, I thought this Brexit thing passed in 2016, which was an indication that Trump was going to be elected. What's going on in the UK?
What's going on is our Parliament does not respect the will of the people. They've been trying to frustrate Brexit. Our previous Prime Minister, Mrs May, who is easily forgotten, just did not have the leadership skills or the courage to deliver it. Boris has got 80 days. 80 days until our deadline. Halloween is the day we're due to leave the European Union, trick or treating. So we're going to find out.
I want to know how that date got chosen, by the way.
Donald Trump is a big believer in Brexit.
So he has a sense of humor.
Because he believes in nation states. He does not believe in globalism, and he feels that very, very strongly. So let's see. The one thing I will tell you is that relationships between our two countries have fallen very, very badly. It's crazy. We're the biggest investor in America. You're the biggest investor, in us. We're the linchpins of NATO. We share intelligence. There's so much good stuff between our countries, but we now have a chance with a new Prime Minister. If he gets Brexit done, we can then start to talk about a proper trade deal with the USA and getting our relationship back to where it needs to be. But does Boris have the courage to deliver Brexit? We're going to find out.
Well, we're going to find out.
We are going to find out, and I'm actually kind of really excited about this. I told Mom I want to have a party. Like one of our old-fashioned parties. Yeah, like we used to have parties back when we were fun people, and not so weighed down with busyness. But I think we should. It's for celebrating, the Reformation, for celebrating Brexit, for celebrating our new deck that will finally be ready. I think that's what we should do. I think that'd be really fun. All right, so let's see. BritBot says, Michelle, in the UK, if someone contacts the police in an emergency, they are invariably told that they won't turn out because it's a civil matter. So maybe what you're saying is if we have more police in the UK, maybe they will turn out? Or do you think that more police won't actually affect that? And somebody did say that pepper spray is illegal in the UK. You have literally no means whatsoever to protect yourself in the UK. Which is why I'm not coming.
That's so stupid.
Like, I'm not coming until I'm allowed to carry a knife.
Or mace.
Or mace or something. Yeah, pepper spray. Now, I got a great idea. Essential oils. So here's what I'm going to do. Oregano oil is not a pepper. So when I come to the UK, I'm bringing my bottle of oregano oil, and an empty little spritzer. Okay. And it's not a pepper. I could put some cinnamon oil in there as well. There's no pepper in there. So if I'll just tell them I had this, antibiotic spray that I had, and I sprayed it in their face, and they, whatever. That's a great idea. You should try that as well. Oregano oil, clove. Clove is not a pepper. Cinnamon is not a pepper. Essential oils, guys. Essential oils. You got to outthink the thinkers.
There you go. Boris Johnson allies say Supreme Court hasn't got time to block no-deal Brexit, and only PM himself can stop it after Remainers threaten legal action. So there's a lot going on here. Bercow has threatened to not allow the no-deal prorogation. He says something about being a democracy.
The centre stage of the decision-making process on this important matter. That's simply not going to happen. It's just so blindingly obvious that it almost doesn't need to be stated, but apparently it does, and therefore I have done.
We like to think that we know up. We know that you'll be interested.
So I guess I'm going to explain this. What Boris Johnson can do is stop the session of Parliament, and this is done. It's been done in the past, in 2016, 2017, and then pick it back up again. You have to go through a whole.
My government has pursued a programme that has delivered stability, secure bus services.
You got to get real technical and Bercow. Here we go. I just left it, but go ahead.
So forgive me because I don't remember who sent us this, but it's
Order!
so great. Order! I couldn't find it, but it was right here the whole time. Okay, I don't remember who sent it, but thank you.
Campaigner Gina Miller has planned to stop no deal through the Supreme Court. With only 81 days to go, Brexiteers say the Supreme Court will not rule in time. And not only Boris Johnson can prevent no deal with MPs almost powerless, we'll see. Remainers have missed their chance to stop a no deal Brexit through the court. Sources close to the PM have declared bullishly today. With the UK's October 31st departure date from the EU, now only 81 or 80. How many days is it away now? It's close. It's several.
It keeps going down.
Away. Any attempt to bind the government's hand
this is 74.
would take too long. 74 days. Okay. Boris Johnson's senior allies now believe the only person who can put a stop to Brexit is the Prime Minister himself. Gina Miller has vowed to challenge Brexit through the Supreme Court to prevent Johnson from suspending Parliament to secure a no deal. She assembled the same legal team that forced Theresa May to give MPs a vote on before triggering the Article 50 vote.
I literally have no patience for Gina Miller, like zero.
But now, number 10 aides believe Mrs. Miller has too little time to pull it off because of the slow-moving justice system. MPs are able to vote against no deal in the Commons, but this would not necessarily prevent it from happening. Pro-EU MPs can now only prevent no deal by trying to take control of the parliamentary timetable or calling a vote of no confidence. The timetable is controlled by the government, so this route would prove difficult, but Speaker John Bercow can grant emergency debates which can pave the way for a new law to stop no deal. And we know that Bercow is totally
puppet.
And he is pro-EU, so he is not bipartisan in this. He literally will do anything in his power to stop Britain leaving. It's crazy how he has the power to do that. But he will, and he's doing his best.
I'll tell you what I don't understand, and maybe somebody can explain it to me. When will we have a new speaker?
That's a good question.
Because I'm tired of this one.
So, Tory donors are in secret talks for election pact with Nigel Farage's Brexit party. Because everybody's kind of hinging on the fact that there will be an election. It's not for certain.
Right.
But there could be an election.
I think that Boris is walking on tiptoes right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Trying to appease the people and let them think that he's a big... for the people populist that's not an establishment, that he will fulfill all these promises, and he's doing all this stuff for the police and so on and so forth.
Top Tory donors are reportedly trying to bounce the party into an electoral pact with Nigel Farage in a bid to keep Jeremy Corbyn out of power in the event of a general election. The behind-the-scenes stitch-up would see the party not stand candidates against the Brexit party in dozens of seats in a snap election. It would mean that the party would let candidates from the insurgent Brexit party stand without a Tory opponent against some candidates in return for giving Tory Brexiteers an easier ride without facing a Farageist opponent.
Wow.
While no candidate for Tory leader is currently calling for a general election, the parliamentary deadlock that plagued Theresa May won't evaporate just because there is a new man in number 10.
So I want to explain that to the people. Okay, so if somebody has already got their seat and they're a Tory person, okay, they're not going to throw in a Brexit opponent against them. But in
Tory Brexiteers.
Excuse me, a Tory Brexiteer. But then likewise, if there is, we've got a Labour person.
Well, or if there's
then the Tory party's not going to throw
Tory person.
Right, and then they're not going to throw in, so it literally would come down to right against wrong. I guess that's the simplest way of saying it. But Brexit against no Brexit, you know what I mean? And I think that that's really neat. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
So the Sunday Times poll had Mr. Farage's Brexit party in first place with 24%, with Tories and Labour trailing at 21%. That would give such a huge majority in the government. It would be hard for anybody with any sense to pass it up.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be hard to pass up? So obviously they're not going to be talking out loud and telling everybody about these secret plans.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But this is a very interesting interview here with Nigel Farage on Sky News Australia, and they've already got him as PM Prime Minister.
You're kidding.
Yeah, listen to this.
Fantastic performance at CPAC last night. You did a stand-up panel with Peter Credlin, Mark Latham, Mark Meadows. It was absolutely riveting. Stand-up ovation. The thing here is it's a fascinating conundrum, Nigel, because the only thing that stands between you and the Prime Ministership of Britain is the thing you fought all your life to achieve. Brexit.
Yeah.
Brexit happens, you don't become PM necessarily. If Brexit doesn't happen, you do.
I spent 27 years campaigning for Brexit when it was a very unfashionable thing to do.
He just said, you win either way. You either Brexit or you become Prime Minister. Because if Brexit doesn't happen, the Brexit party surges in the polls, and then the party picks the PM, and the PM is Nigel Farage. We get to win-win, okay? So all of us are literally over here hoping that Brexit will happen, but no,
my
really,
gosh, I
don't want it to happen. I want Nigel Farage as Prime Minister of the UK. Please, God, if there's a God, this would be like Prime Minister Farage and President Donald Trump. I mean, can you imagine? The world will turn on its head. Godliness, even though he's not, he's Christian principles.
I know what you mean.
So, I'm just this is the most epic of all epicnesses. Okay, going down through history, it would be a moment where the world would look and say, good things happened. We had good leaders at one time, right? And then Salvini and Viktor Orban will be safe.
Oh, yeah.
They'll all be safe.
Right.
And guess what? Other leaders will come up. And maybe with that pact and with the push of Christianity, maybe Germany will get freedom of speech. And maybe the Germans will become unbrainwashed because those people are so incredibly brainwashed. It's sad. They literally think they're helping the world by bringing in a bunch of single men of war age. They literally think they're helping refugees. Seriously, I've talked to a German woman here. We need to help them. Brainwashed.
Okay, so Nom Nom says, oh God, the reaction from the snowflakes if Nigel became Prime Minister, too much of a headache for me. Brabaz says, Michelle, imagine Bojo and Farage as flatmates in number 10. That would be interesting.
Complete nutcase. I mean, I still am by some, but I was campaigning for something that wasn't even on the political agenda.
Yeah.
Right? I fought for it, gained ground, got David Cameron to promise a referendum that he never thought he'd have to deliver, and then never thought he could possibly lose. I promise you, Boris has taken my playbook. The European elections this year, I set up the Brexit party. Within 6 weeks, we won this incredible victory. Boris has taken the playbook, word for word. I promise you, if he delivers a clean break Brexit on the 31st of October, I will be delighted because I will have won. Absolutely. And politics isn't all about getting titles, rank and position.
Exactly.
Politics is about principle. It's about changing things. Provided my country becomes independent and free, that's what matters.
Now tell us the journey from Brexit, because you set up UKIP, and then you've set up the Brexit Party, huge success. If Brexit happens, I've always said I still think you will end up in Downing Street and you will be the one, because I don't think you can trust necessarily the Tories. Tell us your Brexit journey briefly from UKIP to Brexit and what's going to happen in these next few weeks.
Yeah, I mean UKIP was...
Nigel Farage,
I think what I've done... Well, it's Sunday morning. I think what I've done, I've reset the agenda completely. Boris is saying all the right things, but remember, Theresa May said all the right things. The question here is, can we really trust Boris?
So this is going to be the...
27.
So that's the question. Do you trust Boris? Do you think that come October 31st, we'll be sitting here, whatever the Sunday is after that, and saying, woohoo, they've had the no deal Brexit and they're out? Or will there be something where they've walked it back and it's conditional and the Irish backstop has gotten in the way and Bojo is saying, we just need more time or something like that?
Well, look, I mean, Boris, so Mrs. May did this new deal with Brussels, or a new treaty. It was, the worst deal in history. It was a shocker. The kind of thing that you'd only sign if you'd been beaten militarily in war and somebody had a gun to your head. It was awful. And Boris twice voted against it, because 3 times this came to the House of Commons. Twice Boris voted against it. He said if we sign this, we become a slave state, a vassal state. And then the 3rd time of asking, he voted for it. So with Boris, you always think with Boris that it's a little bit more about his career advancement than it is about principle.
I have to tell you, though, I watch these things and I kind of heard a lot of the same things. So I just watched the news responders, because there's a whole nother dynamic here with Sky News Australia. Sky News is kind of the conservative twist, but not always.
Yeah.
But Australians are, by and large, conservative. Yeah. And they will kind of tell it like it is, and they're not ashamed. Like, I don't know what it is about Australians, but, like, they don't have a lot of patience for the lefty snowflakies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, watching... I love Australians. Like, I love... But they don't have guns either. They need their second in back. But, you know, when it comes to the Islamification, when it comes to they're like, listen, we're not racist. You know? But, listen, we realize that this is not a good thing, this Islamification. Right? And so it's interesting to see them. They're a little less politically correct in Australia.
Against
what
that,
I'm saying.
What Boris is being told by, and it'll be Linton Crosby and people, the Wizard of Oz, as we call him, and you know, and what he will be being told is, if you drop the ball again, Farage will kill you at the next general election. So that's the balance he's got to weigh up.
New Zealand took all the
My guess is that the only way he can deliver Brexit is to have an early general election on the issue and get a majority. That's my guess.
Do you do some kind of deal? Because we've seen the 2 recent by-elections. What's the...
Well, look, I mean, I think the truth of it is, whatever Boris says, there'll be millions of people that say, look, he's entertaining, he's great fun. We'd quite like a private life like his. That is pushing it for a Sunday morning. You know, but do we trust him? And I think the truth of it is that the support the Brexit Party has got, the belief that a goodly number of people have in me, is such. I don't think he can win that election without my support. But to get my support, I'm going to have to believe in him. You know, genuinely believe in him, and in the Conservative Party, who've not been Conservative at all for years.
How would that work, though? Because there's no preferential voting in the UK.
No, that's right.
So are we going to get Jeremy Corbyn becoming Prime Minister because the Conservative vote's going to be split?
Well, what we saw in Peterborough, and that was a by-election immediately after the European elections, we saw the Labour Party get 31%, the Brexit Party get 30%, the Tory Party get 21%, and there's 51% of the vote between the two of us, and Corbyn wins on 31.
Yeah.
So, here's the logic, right? There are parts of the north of England, for argument's sake, that have sent back Labour MPs since the end of the First World War. And it's kind of tribal politics. They feel like Labour communities, even though they're going to feel very betrayed by Corbyn and the Labour Party giving up on Brexit. They could not bring themselves to vote Conservative if you paid them £100,000. But they can vote for me. And so the argument would be,
very true.
If Boris is absolutely sincere and wants to deliver Brexit above everything else and doesn't mind upsetting some in the Conservative Party, who, don't forget, hate me. I mean, I am the devil, which is just, you know, it's always a good thing in life to be judged by your enemies, I think. The logic would be, he says, look, Nigel, you know, there are, I don't know, 80, 90, 100, whatever it may be, Labour seats that voted Brexit, that have been betrayed by the Labour Party. You've got a free run at those. Leave me the rest of the country. And you know what? Even today's opinion polling puts the two of us together on 47% and the Labour Party on 28%. Work it out.
For this to happen, the Tories have to be scared of you. You've got a plan for 600 people?
Absolutely. So look, I mean, you know, at the moment, what I'm doing is this. I announced last week my first 150 candidates and their constituencies, and I will be on the 27th of August holding a big rally in London, and I will stand on the stage, and there'll be 600 men and women around me, and I shall say, this is the People's Army. You know, we are mobilised to fight the next general election. If you don't deliver Brexit, this is it, we're here. And so, I agree with you. The only way you get anything out of the British Conservative Party is by frightening the life out of them, by putting the fear of God into them. And I'm going to do that, you mark my words.
If you had this partnership with Bojo, would you have a position in any government? Would you be...
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, so I'm going to stop that there because it's so good. You guys watched the whole thing. But I did want to give you a taste of this. This is Richard Rice. The first 150 candidates have been announced.
The candidates and their constituencies for the Brexit Party for the general election that we know is coming soon. But we're not stopping there. Next week, we're going to have another 150 candidates and their constituencies. Why? Because whilst many people hopefully are enjoying their summer holidays, we in the Brexit Party, we are beavering away, we're working hard. This is absolutely vital. It's only the Brexit Party that can ensure a proper Brexit is delivered in the 31st of October. Why? Because we cannot trust the Conservative Party unless they have huge pressure from us. We're here to stay, we mean business, we're not messing around, we're here to change politics for good.
That's pretty exciting.
It is really, really exciting.
And then I have Labour Leave here, and this is like, I think the Labour vote, the Labour Leave vote kind of hinges on Kate Huey here. If you don't know who she is a Brexiteer Labour Party person who has joined the Brexit Party.
I think the Labour Party needs to be very, very conscious of the fact that the Brexit Party is doing extremely well, not just in the European Union elections, where they went from just having been formed really a few weeks before to winning overall and having 29 MEPs. I think Labour needs to realise that many of our disillusioned Labour supporters now have somewhere to go to. You know, I remember over the years, and I've been the MP now for 30 years, I remember people saying at different times when Labour was doing things that were really not very sensible, like, for example, the raising of the pension by such a tiny amount. And I remember some of my colleagues actually saying, well, you know, we may be unpopular, but they've got nowhere else to go, Labour voters. That's no longer true. The Brexit Party bringing in people from different political backgrounds, you cannot, unless you're a complete and utter zealot Remainer, you cannot actually say that the Brexit Party is right-wing anymore. Yes, there are people in it who would have different views on the economic future of our country and the way to get to that future, but there are so many people who've joined it who are actually from the left, and they have MEPs from the left. So I think that we need to really realise that that is a huge battle that we're going to have, even if Boris Johnson manages to get us out of the European Union at the end of October. I don't think the Brexit Party will go away because they have discovered that there are people out there who are fed up with having been treated as if they weren't important, that their areas have been ignored and left, and that neither of the mainstream parties have been picking up on that nearly enough.
So Jim West says, Kate Huey is great. She's wasted on labor. Britt Baza says, Kate Huey is a great patriot and an MP. And I liked what she said there is that unless you're a zealot Remainer, you are no longer going to be able to say that the Brexit party is right-wing.
Right.
It's all about Brexit. And going back to that clip with Nigel, you know, I get comments a lot of times from you guys that used to support Nigel, and because he didn't stand up for Tommy and he said some things against Tommy, you're like, Nigel's a traitor. He said, no, because a traitor is to turn your back on something that you were formerly standing for. Nigel has always been about Brexit, 100% for Brexit. He has not become a traitor to Brexit. Even if you're like staunch UKIP and you feel like he turned his back on UKIP or whatever, he didn't. He has been staying 100% towards Brexit. You have to understand that people come in and they mess things up. You're going to have crazies all the time. Take a church, for example, okay? They always say, if you find a perfect church, don't go there because you'll mess it up, okay? So when you have a party, it's very difficult to have, you know, perfect everyone within that party. And so Nigel had to distance himself from UKIP because UKIP was allowing certain people in and so on and so forth. But that doesn't mean that he has turned his back on Brexit just because he doesn't agree with Tommy, and we do. You know, I don't actually agree with everything that Tommy does. I just agree with his right to do it. Okay, and I stand behind what he's standing for. Now, that is a good time, I think, to segue before you move on to that, because it looks like you might be changing topics, or no? No?
Jeremy Corbyn has a scheme to try to make himself prime minister.
Okay, all right, let's go to that before we get to Nigel's
Liberal
clip.
Democrats and key Tories both rejected, though. It came out like this week that maybe Corbyn could just like, hey, maybe make me prime minister, right? But the Lib Dems were supposed to kind of join on to that.
Okay.
The Lib Dems and key Tories both rejected Corbyn's scheme to make himself a caretaker PM to stop Brexit. 2 days ago, Corbyn seeks to stop Brexit via Make Me Temporary PM. Ending comment was, there is little chance Corbyn's Make Me PM Pretty Please motion does anything but fall flat on its face. But if by some miracle it passed, I expect Johnson would refuse to sign until October 31st. Happy Halloween. Well, that didn't take long. The Guardian reports no deal Brexit edges closer as key Tories refuse to back Corbyn. Corbyn's hopes of forming a unity government were fading on Friday as a number of prominent conservatives working to stop no-deal Brexit ruled out any mechanism to put the Labour leader in at number 10.
Duh.
Dominic Grieve, who has previously suggested he could vote against the government in a confidence vote, said he would not go so far as facilitating a Corbyn government. Jeremy Corbyn is unfortunately a deeply divisive figure and is trying to stop a no-deal Brexit. It is not my purpose to help him into Downing Street. Swinson dismissed Corbyn's offer on Wednesday, but has since said she's open to discussions, while warning that Labour would be unable to get enough Conservative votes or votes from former Labour MPs sitting as independents to make the plan viable, even with Lib Dem support. So there's extremely difficult math, but it's politically impossible for him. Let's see. Although there is a sufficient number of MPs who want to stop no deal, there's no way for them to unite in a meaningful way. And even if the opposition did magically unite, it is highly unlikely Boris Johnson would refuse to stand down. It's highly likely Boris Johnson would refuse to stand down, allowing the caretaker government to even take over. Instead, Johnson would call for a general election on October 31st while running on a Brexit platform. In that scenario, I believe Johnson would win in a landslide, giving the splintered opposition, each wanting a different thing. Corbyn probably understands the math, even as he hopes for something else. Thus, he may not call for a motion no confidence unless his plan gets backing, which it won't. So, there you go.
So somebody was asking, and it's really important actually to differentiate between a lot of these people because it can get confusing. But I also wanted to address why we talk about the UK politics. So somebody, I'm assuming from the United States, says, is Corbyn the referee guy? No. The referee guy is John Bercow, this guy that we have the face. He's called the Speaker of the House, from what I understand. And so he really is just there to, he does have some power. He's not just there to bang the gavel. He does have power, but Jeremy Corbyn would be the pick for prime minister should Labour win.
He's the leader in the face of the Labour Party, which aka Commie Party.
Exactly.
He is a communist.
we now have, right now, Boris Johnson as Prime Minister of all of UK. And because their government is different than ours, because they've got this little thing called the royal family in there, okay? They're kind of like for show, but they don't have
they don't nationally vote for a prime minister.
Exactly.
They vote for a party, and the winning party it votes for who they want.
So we cover UK politics right now, especially since Brexit was voted in, okay? Because we're seeing a populist movement of goodness, of righteousness, of each country being sovereign in and of themselves. We're just seeing a global shift. And I'm so excited about it. And so this is one of those...
I think our founding fathers...
moments in history.
It's one of those moments where you encourage you encourage your counterparts worldwide. You don't necessarily get involved in it,
right?
But you encourage it. Our founding fathers had emissaries. Many of our founding fathers were themselves, like Jefferson and John Adams sent his son John Quincy to be emissaries and ambassadors and things like that to other countries to make these good relations and these good ties and trade agreements and things like that. So it's really important for us worldwide to have, and that's the one world government, and the New World Order wants a global government.
Right.
We want a global society where we're all connected. We all have similarities, and each country is its own autonomous region, and we encourage goodness and democracy and democratic principles and Christianity in each individual country.
Exactly.
And that's why we do the UK Euro News, because I'm seeing my brothers and sisters, I'm seeing people saying the same things I'm saying here across the globe. And so together we unite in a spirit and the power of the force. This is a chick who is against that power and that spirit.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Greta Thunberg. Climate activist, named like New York Times, I don't know, somebody's person of the year. She's like 14, Asperger's syndrome, and supposedly traveling to this world global summit on climate. But in doing so, her virtue signaling trip on a $4 million yacht to lecture Americans about climate change, this trip will actually be more harmful to the environment than if she had flown in an airplane. Thunberg and her team set sail on the Malaysia 2 for a voyage that will take 2 weeks to reach New York. The mode of transport was deliberately chosen so Thunberg could relentlessly virtue signal about the evils of air travel. But the entire trip is a complete and utter farce.
Wow.
As the German newspaper Taz points out, the yacht trip means more CO2 will be released into the atmosphere than if just Greta and her father had traveled by air, because 6 members of her team have to fly back to Germany from New York. The sailing trip triggers at least 6 climate-changing air travel across the Atlantic. If Thunberg had just flown with her father, only 2 would have been necessary to come to New York. Indeed, a single flight from New York to Hamburg releases 1,800 kilograms.
So the people that are going
piloting the yacht
have to fly back. They can't take the yacht back?
I guess so. Which equates to more than...
So how's Greta getting back?
I don't know.
Why doesn't she use yacht
to more
back?
than 3/4 of what each person is entitled to in a year if global warming is to be halted at 2 degrees. As James Jellingpool asked, besides the rank hypocrisy of her attention-grabbing yacht trip, how exactly did Thunberg come to be the lecturing face of the environmental movement? A lecture, furthermore, from a child who hasn't finished her schooling, whose frontal lobes haven't formed, who has no sense of humor, whose every utterance is the second-hand opinion of alarmist grown-ups, whose doomsday claims she is completely unequipped to assess. But despite wall-to-wall positive press coverage, ordinary people just aren't buying it. As previously reported, German drivers have begun displaying blank Greta bumper stickers. So yeah, that's my little segment on this little child who's being used as a climate alarmist. It bugs me to no end. So it does. All right, here you go. We're going back to Britain for a second, because I have like 500 articles up where I could talk about terror attacks if you want.
Les wants to know if she's swimming back.
Probably not. Nanny State, Orwellian war on sugar could spell the end of traditional British sweets.
Oh, no.
Targets set by the Public Health in England to cut the sugar in confectionery could see some sweets disappear off the shelves altogether.
Wait a minute. I have a protest.
Yeah?
Because all British friends have sent us yummy British sweets in the mail.
I
We have
know.
already covered the fact that they have already reduced the size of the chocolates.
Yes.
To cut back on sweets. So now they've decided that in order to cut back on the sugar content, you have to cut back on the chockies altogether. No more chocolate bars.
The largest extension of state control over the British diet since rationing. The report by the Institute of Economic Affairs, a free market think tank, is said to reveal that boiled sweets, sherbet lemons, Parma violets, and other treats which are made almost entirely of sugar could fall foul of government regulations that aim for confectionery to be less than 50% sugar.
So when they say boiled sweets, though, don't they just mean like hard candy?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm thinking water when I think boiled. They just mean heated sugar to the highest of maturity.
Yes.
Okay.
So Bassett's licorice assorts and jelly babies, comprised of 2/3 sugar, are all at risk. And fudge!
No getting rid of fudge! I will leave your country!
Sugar, butter, and cream could be doubly at risk because efforts to reduce the 2/3 of sugar could result in increased fat.
I would not live in a country that outlawed fudge. Fudge on them.
The 50% sugar cap is not compulsory. It is not really voluntary either, though, with strong pressure and constant veiled threats of legislation if companies do not comply. Public Health of England, in their bid to improve the health of the nation, have decided people shouldn't be allowed to make choices on their own diet, and instead companies should be coerced and shamed into making food to please them and not the customer. The program covers not just unhealthy foods such as crisps and chocolate, but also foods that people would consider healthy, such as boxed salads, nut butters, or olive ciabatta. Very few items escape their grasp. Officials have even made recommendations for the amount of milk that should be in tea.
What? First of all, we don't put milk in tea. But second of all, ain't nobody should tell you if you can't.
And are
how much you could put in
content of whole fruit juice.
Unbelievable.
So, remember
What's
last
wrong
year,
with milk to start with?
Last year, there were draft guidelines telling restaurants and supermarkets to shrink the size of pizzas and remove toppings to meet drastic calorie reductions. And then there was a calorie tax. And then, of course, the...
calorie tax? As if getting fat is not enough of a punishment when you overeat. Okay? When the love handles start to pop out the side of your pants, that's not enough of a punishment. Now you gotta be taxed. So now you're fat and taxed. This is wrong. This is illegal. I am so upset about this right now.
It's so funny because most candy traditionally is made with sugar. That's the whole point of candy. It's made with sugar. It's made of sugar. Lollipops, licorice, jelly beans. It's
called the canty. You can't have it.
That's a good one.
This is unbelievable.
I got another good one for you.
No, I'm so upset about this. I can't move on.
This will keep you stuck too.
Could you stop and tell these people how much I love candy? How much I grew up on candy?
You used to love candy, but you don't.
I don't
really
eat it
anymore.
as much, but it's like inside of me. So I have this righteous,
You
connection.
wouldn't. Well, here you wouldn't have Skittles. You wouldn't have Runts. You wouldn't have Sprees. None of that. They're all sugar.
I'm not
none
coming.
of that.
I'm not coming to the UK.
Boycott. Okay, here's another one. Ready?
Okay.
An ad featuring a mother with a baby is banned because it perpetuates harmful gender stereotypes. I'm not even kidding you. So get this. This Volkswagen e-Golf commercial, which we are going to play here. So here's a dude, I guess, doing something exciting. There's a girl in that tent too, though, by the way. There's a dude as an astronaut. Here's a dude with, like, I guess...
That's cool.
We can achieve anything.
I like it.
And there's a mother with a baby. So, because it showed, and in the beginning, I don't know if you saw that, but it kind of focused on the dude, but there's a chick in there, by the way, in this big tent hanging on the thing.
Right.
Okay? So, the ad shows a man and a woman sleeping in a tent on a cliff, followed by 3 male astronauts working in a spacecraft, then a male para-athlete, ending with a woman sitting on a bench reading with her baby, sleeping in a pram. We call them, strollers. The final clip implying that the Volkswagen is so quiet it fails to disturb the sleeping child or a woman reading a book. Okay, 3 people complained about the commercial, and the Advertisers Standings Authority banned it on grounds that it showed men being daring and adventurous, even though there's a woman in the tent, right? While women were passive or engaged in stereotypic caregiving roles.
Unbelievable.
The ASA said by juxtaposing images of men in extraordinary environments and carrying out adventurous activities, while women, there's a woman in the tent. She had to get there somehow. She climbed. She didn't take a helicopter to get in that, by the way, okay? I guess they would have fixed it if she were the one shutting the tent. Okay.
Hang on, though, because Redneck makes a good point that has nothing to do with this. And he says, I love how car commercials show stuff that has nothing to do with the car, as if folks are going to do any of that stuff.
I know. Who appeared passive or engaged in a stereotypical caregiving role. We considered that the ad directly contrasted stereotypical male and female roles and characteristics in a manner that gave the impression that they were exclusively associated with one gender. We concluded that the ad presented gender stereotypes in a way that it was likely to cause harm. Therefore, it breached the code. Jess Ty, investigations manager at ASA, told the BBC on Wednesday that gender stereotypes in commercials could cause real-world harms, specifically where male and female stereotypes were contrasted, saying it's about thinking about what the cumulative effect on the gender stereotypes would be. That bikini ad was banned. Meanwhile, an ad for soft cheese spread, Philadelphia, pulled in a whopping 128 complaints because it portrayed two hapless dads leaving their babies on a conveyor belt as they became distracted by food. The ASA ruled that the lighthearted humorous ad for the Mondelez product that portrayed men as somewhat hapless and inattentive, which resulted in them being unable to care for the children, relied on the stereotype that men were unable to care for children. A ban on gender stereotyping in ads came into effect 2 months ago. Because there were some of these that you know, whatever. So
I actually object to this commercial on personal grounds, right? Because I think that it states that that all women have children, and I think it's harmful and hurtful to those of us that don't have children to show a woman with a child, and so I take offense at that. I also take offense that that they're showing astronauts because I can't be one. And that's hurtful and harmful to me. The couple to start with at the beginning, you know, I'm not a couple. I would take offense to that. You know, I've never played track and field. I take offense to that. I don't own a Volkswagen. I don't have a new car. I've never bought a new car. I've never owned a new car. I take offense at that.
I can't afford a Volkswagen. I take offense to that.
I take offense to you trying to sell me something that I can't afford. Every single thing about this commercial is offensive to me.
I take offense to you trying to sell me something I can't afford. That's it.
Yeah. So first of all, you need to just start giving your cars away.
Exactly.
Because that's how I would feel better.
Exactly. The ads are for free cars from now on.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that one.
Oh my goodness. Redneck says, why don't they just show people doing normal stuff like driving through McDonald's?
Because that's not exciting.
I thought that was hilarious, actually.
So I'm going to just read some of these headlines. Sudanese migrant jailed for extremely savage murder of woman who refused him sex. That would be... yeah.
How do you prove something like that?
Leeds in February after this is Kara Ali Kari was sentenced to life imprisonment on Thursday. This happened in Leeds. So he was so enraged and frustrated by her rejection that he decided in his mind to teach her a lesson and to kill her. So he is sentenced to life in prison there.
So that we finally have some justice, but I mean, there is no comparison of, you know, his life in prison versus the life of someone else. It's the best they can do, but a lot of times we see that they don't get punished. So that's good news in a sense.
In a sense, yeah. France is actually deporting a German suspected far left extremist ahead of the G7 summit. We talked about this. France has deported a 38-year-old German national believed to have previously been involved in far left extremist activity headed to the G7 summit. So that's kind of interesting that they're going to go against far lefters. Woke news site for young Muslims is actually a secret UK counterterrorism program. So
why are they exposing it if it's supposed to be secret?
Well, it's woke. It's very left wing. So a supposed news site geared toward young Muslims in the UK. It's called Woke. The Facebook page Woke, which at first glance looks like any other millennial focused new online news platform, is actually part of an undercover counter-terror program funded by the UK government. This is Woke. This is Woke right here. Woke is a diverse social news platform, keeping you in the know about the issues that matter most. You can man up, man please. I don't know. You can just close you out. So let's see. We're woke. Are you woke?
But why did Breitbart expose it as a secret? Like, now it's not going to work.
Because it's extremely left wing. It's extremely left wing. Man up, man please. Mental health is a concern for men, and here are some facts you may need to know. It's geared towards British Muslims, publishing short inspirational videos about a variety of topics pertaining to Muslims. Your guide to the most engaging and related stories. Like us, stay woke. Let's see. The platform publishes memes, content regarding Islamophobia, and videos on veganism, fake news, and modern dating. In one video entitled, "Are We All Becoming Snowflakes?" 4 young panelists discuss whether people are becoming too sensitive. In another video, Muslim women describe what it was like to first put on the hijab. In the third video, garnered 113,000 views, shows a Muslim man who's on a mission to meet the haters and meets a former EDL person and has him over. And it says, "We are committed to using all tools available to counter the threat from terrorism in the UK." And so it's coming from a very left-wing position. And it's if it's going to brainwash people, it should be kind of politically neutral, but it's not.
Okay.
So, yeah, there you have woke. Are you woke? In Sweden, the suspect, a terrorist migrant previously hailed as a successful example of integration. So the Swedish police had arrested Uzbek migrant this week on suspicion of terrorism, who had previously been deported from the country and held up as a very good, successful example of integration. The man, who is said to be in his 30s, is also citizen of Kazakhstan. He was said to have been driving near the Strogport Square in Östersund when he was pulled over by the army police and arrested, with investigators discovering items in the car that led them to believe he was preparing a potential murder. After the arrest, the Swedish security police, SAPO, and the prosecutor's office connected a potential terrorist motive, I'm messing this whole up, to the man's actions. Witnesses to the arrest said that the man had driven in a strange manner, but he did not appear threatening. Here's your dude here. No, that's a different dude. No, that's a different dude. They put in other articles. Never mind. So they're fantastic. Supposedly, it was this fantastic. He originally came to Sweden in 2012.
Okay.
And claimed that he required asylum after his family had been threatened because his father had prosecuted a mafia boss. He later admitted that story was a fabrication. Nice hat. A friend of the man and his family who had come to Sweden with him claimed they're a fantastic family. They wanted to become Swedes properly, live as we do. And now he is a terrorist. So.
Oh, wow.
In Austria, Muslim cab drivers refusing service to blind person with guide dogs. Blind people with guide dogs are being refused service by Muslim cab drivers in Innsbruck, Austria, because they regard the animals as ritually unclean. Some 80% of cab drivers in the Trollian capital now have a migration background.
Wow.
And the local newspaper reports that many having their roots in the Islamic world. Anton Elber and Harold Flecker, the managing directors of the Radio Control Center for Cabs in Innsbruck, admitted that such incidents were a growing problem. How many blind people are there to be even denied? But complained that they are not aware of the owners. They are not the owners of the taxis. We only mediate between riders and drivers, so could do little to stop it. We try to make it clear to the drivers again and again that these trips have to be carried out exactly like any other job. Unfortunately, at the moment, we are not in a position to solve this problem satisfactorily. He explained that the roughly 400 drivers are constantly changing. They have to inform them again and again and again and give them the rules. Gabrielle Gendris, who works for the Association of the Blind, is a registered blind herself, commented that if there were clear guidelines, for example, that certain dog breeds should not be transported in the passenger compartment, that the dogs must be leashed and muzzled or carried in a transport box, I would understand that. But the whole thing is simply arbitrary, after running into issues while trying to take a taxi to the airport herself. However, according to Gabrielle Klemmer, carrying guide dogs and other assistance dogs is already explicitly stated as the duty of the driver. You're supposed to do that. Culture clashes centered on dogs are not unique in Austria, and with the United Kingdom having experienced a growing number of incidents going back years. In 2008, for example, a blind pensioner with cancer was asked to get off of a bus after a passenger became hysterical when he boarded with his guide dog. after being berated in a foreign language. The same year, Tayside Police Force in Scotland, now rolled into the Scotland Super Force, actually apologized for producing postcards advertising a new non-emergency number which featured a guide dog puppy sitting in a policeman's hat because it offended Muslim shopkeepers.
Okay, so here's the deal, and we talked about this last week, actually. If you
don't
have a
like
job,
dogs, then
if you have a job in which,
in the West,
like, okay,
dogs are part of our life.
So I have a problem with pornography.
Oh yeah,
and I have a problem with selling alcohol. So I could never work at a convenience store where you even had to sell like magazines with scantily clad women and alcohol. Like I couldn't do it. So I wouldn't get that job because it would I wouldn't get the job and then go, well, I can do this, but I can't, you know, whatever. And we were talking about the prayers and so on and so forth. So if you can't fulfill that job, then you can't take the job. Okay. I mean, we have, right. So then when it comes to the woman boarding the bus with the dog, right, and the guy going into hysterics, that kind of reminds me of somebody that has a peanut allergy, right? It's difficult to have a peanut allergy, especially if you have a severe one, because a lot of things are made where they come in contact with peanuts, and you have to be very, very careful. You don't get to go to the whole world and say, ain't nobody allowed to produce anything with peanuts because I'm allergic. Then you don't get to ride public transportation. If you might come encounter with, I mean, somebody that has it's called public transportation. It's a bus. Anybody can get on it. If the bus policy says that the person that is blind can bring a dog with them, then you got to get over it and you got to find another way of transportation. I'm sorry, you're allergic. What if a person with a peanut allergy was on public transportation and somebody came and sat next to them and ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and they were so allergic to peanuts that just sitting next to somebody eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich made them like have a fit? Okay, I'm sorry, person with the peanut allergy, but you got to find another way. It's unfortunate, but it's just a fact.
This is my choir mode. I'm going on to another story because I'm 504-year-old boys cathedral choir is being sued for gender bias. A 9-year-old girl is suing a centuries-old Berlin boys choir, arguing that her bid to join was only rejected because of her gender, and a case that has sparked debate over equal rights.
Do they have a girls' choir?
Versus artistic freedom. Well, I don't think they have a 450-year-old awesome one. The State and Cathedral Choir is one of the most renowned boys' choir in Germany, founded in 1465 by Frederick II of Brandenburg.
Wow.
Over its 54 years, I don't even know if I think I was dyslexic there. It has never admitted any girls. The girl whose identity is not revealed auditioned with the choir in March and was rejected. The choir contends the girl's rejection was not predominantly about her gender, and she would have been asked to join if she had displayed extraordinary talent and motivation, and if her voice had matched the desired sound characteristics of a boys' choir. The choir also expressed doubt it would have been able to work with the girl's parents. The girl's mother, who brought the complaint on the daughter's behalf. Now, 9 years old. Do you really think she is wanting that bad to join this boys' choir, or do you think it's the mama trying to pull a stunt?
Exactly.
Argues the choir's rejection is discriminatory in an impermissible way and violates her right to equal opportunities from an institution receiving state funds. The case has elicited strong feelings, with many weighing in on the side of the choir, arguing that it's less about talent than about tone, and that mixing the choir would bring an end to a traditional sound. Writing for the influential Frankfurter newspaper, Society columnist said, "Nobody has said girls can't sing well, but the timbre is different. And judging timbre, you can say, I think you say okay. And judging that should be left to the musicians and the musicologists. Anyone who wants to enforce a misunderstood gender equality here sacrifices a cultural asset." So the difference between boys' and girls' voices is audible and measurable. It is, however, smaller than many claim, and so it's very interesting that the
Okay, so I'm kind of torn on this, to be honest, because obviously I think that this woman is in the wrong because her motives are wrong. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you know, when I was a kid, I had a friend who was on the boys' baseball team because she wanted to play baseball versus softball. I was a cheerleader for Little League football. And there was a girl literally through I don't know, from the time I was like 6 until I was like 12, till junior high, she was on the boys football team. It wasn't a big deal. I mean, she did it, and she was kind of outstanding, an outsider, because no other girl really wanted to do these things. And she was allowed to do it. And so I don't really have a problem with the girl joining the boys choir. But I think if you're doing it solely for political motives, you have to, I guess it's like this. If there are auditions for anything, the standard of the audition doesn't have to be lowered based on gender. If she were to have met the criteria and met the standard, then I think that she should be, if she's just as good as somebody else that she auditioned against, then I think she should be admitted.
I'm going to disagree. I think that there are allowed to be things that say this is a boys' choir. Okay, and if they choose to let a girl in, then they can choose it, but they shouldn't have to be forced to do it, even if they get state funds. Same thing with an all-girls choir. I think that it's okay to have all one gender. Some things it makes something special. So like it makes something unique. Right. It makes it sit out. So this is an all-boys choir, and everyone knows that boys have a very unique voice.
Prepubescent.
That, boys. You can just say boys. It doesn't have to be.
I'm just saying, as soon as their voice changes, it's time. I mean, nobody wants to listen to it anymore.
Right. So, but everybody knows that boys have a special, timbre to their voice. Right. And it's just an interesting thing that, boys have always sung in these choirs for years, and it's just a thing. And why do you have to mess with something? Why do you have to mess with something that's a tradition?
Right. No, I think I agree with you. I'm just saying, like, either way, to me, it's not a big deal. It's the thing that's bothering me about this is the fact that the woman is making a big deal about it. It doesn't seem to me, I don't see these people not admitting her because she's a girl. I see them not admitting her because she doesn't meet the criteria. And the criteria is that you have to sound just like these boys.
But here's
you have
the thing.
To, I mean,
there are children's choirs.
Exactly, that she could join.
But it is special to say the all-boys choir is coming to town.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, and if there's a girl in there, it's not special anymore. It's just an all-kids choir, which is fine, but it's not the same thing.
Right. So what they're trying to say is they want to obliterate anything that has that is just for one gender.
It's stupid. It's like,
including
you know what? Just let it, if you want to do something, create an all-persons choir. Create it all, just be different. You don't have to take away from somebody else to make yourself good or great or something. Okay? If there's only one singing, and you could only sing in this one thing, and it was just boys, that'd be one thing. But anybody can sing anywhere at any time. Exactly. Create your own choir. That's the whole point. Why go to somebody's house and knock on their door and say, let me into your house when you're having a party? I didn't invite you to this party. Okay? You're not invited. Doesn't mean I don't like you. Doesn't mean that you're a horrible person. I just didn't invite you to my party.
Right. So our cousin Tim says, on Facebook Live, let's get the Bible out on this one too. A boys' choir is boys. A girls' choir is girls' choir. It's a total political statement that these people are making. Yeah. Absolutely, Tim.
Okay, so I could do my whole show just talking about, yes, and thank you, Tim. Exactly. I could do the whole show just talking about terror attacks, but I don't like doing that. I think like there's more to life. Yeah. But just kind of randomly going through the titles. Refugees charged with planning Islamic extremist attack in Merkel's Germany. This just out from Breitbart this week. German federal prosecutors say they've charged 3 Iraqi refugees with planning an Islamic extremist bombing. Okay? Now, when we talk about these things, you have to put and envision in your mind that they actually were able to have this go through and make it happen, because that's got to be on your wall and your list. But because they didn't have, because somebody stopped it, praise God. Yeah. They're like, they stopped it, no big deal. But these people are still living in your country. They were planning an Islamic extremist attack, but since they hadn't been linked to a specific organization, they don't face terrorism charges. They allegedly ordered a detonator from Britain, but never received it after authorities were arrested their contact. After being unable to afford an illegal firearm through a contact.
Okay.
Prosecutors say they decided to carry out an attack using a truck bomb. Okay, with one of them taking driving theory classes. So, we can't get a gun. Our bomb didn't work. We're gonna do truck bomb. No, they couldn't get the firearms, so then they went for the truck bomb.
Exactly.
So they needed a detonator, and they ordered through contact, and that was stopped. Italy, the Five-Star Movement faces split as the members consider defecting to Salvini's Lega. Some members of the Five-Star Movement could break away from the party, choosing instead to support the populist Lega leader Matteo Salvini, which is actually a big thing because the Five-Star Movement is left, and Salvini's Lega leader movement, Salvini, the leader of the League, whatever, the Lega is what they
it's
say.
Because
the
you
Liga
say,
Lega.
Yeah, okay, just say League.
The Liga Lega.
The League
leader. The Liga leader. The Liga leader. The Liga leader. Matteo Salvini is right-leaning. I didn't even get my whole sentence out. So Italy is facing these new elections. Calls from Matteo Salvini last week over the disagreements between his party and his coalition partners. Five-Star Movement, M5S. Italian newspaper has claimed that some Five-Star Movement members may leave the movement to join the populist leader. The newspaper states that several members of the party linked to its leader, I love these names, Luigi Di Maio, and linked to its leader Luigi Di Maio and Minister of Justice Alfonso Bonafede are backing Salvini, calling the group more akin to Christian Democrats than the progressive wing of the movement led by Roberto Fico. While there are many in the Five Stars who have vocally resisted Salvini's policies in the past, such as the security and migration decree, others, including the MS founder Beppe Grillo, have praised the interior minister. Last year, Grillo addressed a crowd during a live performance at the Centro del Maia, a theater.
That was a good attempt.
And called Salvini a man who
here.
does things for real.
Okay.
He does things for real. Earlier this week, Grillo said he would prefer the M5S govern and form a new government following the elections, but some in the movement have called on a potential alliance. So where is this going to go? We don't know, but I'm excited for Salvini.
Continue with Salvini and then...
No enter. Salvini tells a Spanish migrant ferry to sail for socialist run to Spain. Spain says a Spanish ship with 107 migrants in the southern Mediterranean can sail to Spain and disembark its passengers in... How do you say that?
I have no idea.
Somewhere in Spain. Algeciras?
I know.
Algeciras? I know that CI is a... Algeciras. Anyways, Italian Interior Minister Matteo Salvini on Sunday told the open arms ship to leave Italian waters and go to Spain. Salvini contends that open arms is anchored off the southern shore of Lampedusa just to provoke me in Italy. The boat's crew says conditions on the ship are miserable. So, there Spain says.
So, I think that this is Salvini's way of saying, you ain't got to go home, but you got to stay here. All right, so I need to play this clip from Farage, and then I've got to go.
You got to go, or I got to go?
Well, probably somebody's got to go. But before we go,
so much news, so little
I just
time.
closed out my clip from... I literally just closed it. Do you have it?
Is this... Oh, the Senate comes back with no confidence.
Keep reading. I'll get my clip back up.
Yeah, they're going to have elections. Elections are going to be Tuesday, I think. The Italian Senate will return Tuesday from its summer vacation to set a crucial date for a no-confidence vote on Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte's populist government. So we're going to see that happen on Tuesday. Protection group. Behavior in the immigrant-dense areas is responsible for an increase in cruelty cases towards hedgehogs and other animals. Earlier this week, Swedish media spoke to Annika Sundberg, the head of the animal welfare groups in the municipality of Nässjö, who claimed that youth were using local hedgehogs as footballs and kicking them around. These are immigrant-dense areas, unfortunately, and added the group used to visit schools and write notes in various languages in order to inform migrant children about the laws on animal cruelty. So there is some difference in how animals are handled.
The laws on animal cruelty? What about the human instinct not to do it?
So there is some difference, and I got Swedish and my Italian are just one, and how animals are handled into Sweden. And in other countries, we have quite a good animal welfare legislation here in Sweden, which we are used to and grow up with, but it is not in all countries, unfortunately. While it is mainly hedgehogs that have been on the receiving end of cruel behavior, she noted that other animals have been exposed to cruelty as well, including rabbits, cats, and swans, indicating that footage of them having their throats cut was circulating on social media. She went on to add that the group may start visiting local schools again in the near future to inform children and saying, maybe that is something we need to start up again. Make a small information sheet for the children to tell them how to handle them and what you can and cannot do. I think it's pretty important. Other countries in Western Europe have had difficulties with migrant behavior towards animals, specifically the Muslim community, during the end of Ramadan, where some have been accused of cruelty while butchering sheep and other animals for the religious holidays. Last year in France, for example, dozens of sheep were rescued from a garage in the northern suburbs of Paris. So, yeah.
So here's the issue. And it's not cultural. This whole... their violence, the rape, the violence, the attacks. It's not just a cultural thing. You have to literally become a depraved person.
Your mind, yeah.
And that's what allows them to commit these other atrocities and crimes. It goes hand in hand, which actually does lead me right to this clip that I did get.
It does.
With Nigel here. And that is the fact that what's going on is unacceptable. It's not normal. The way these people are acting, and it does not meld and mesh with Western civilization. And Nigel finally speaks out. There's the chat. That's not what I meant to do. Hi guys, there's your own chat. Let's switch over here to that's what we want. This clip, Barry had sent this to us. Britt Baza. Sorry about the ad. We'll mute the ad here. Wait a minute. Hang on, Nige. Go back.
On the question of Islamification, I think we have to do a bit more, probably starting in our schools, to actually teach people of the values of our Judeo-Christian culture, the good that it's done, and all that it's represented over centuries. Because I'm getting a bit tired of my kids coming home from school being taught about every other religion in the world, celebrating every other religious holiday, but not actually being taught about Christianity. Maybe sacking the Archbishop of Canterbury and getting somebody decent would be good. There are over 20 police forces now in this country that turn a complete blind eye to the operation of Sharia courts and Sharia law. If you're not prepared as a nation from the top down to stand up for your cultures and your values, then those cultures and values will be threatened. And it's one of the ways in which I just have this huge admiration for what the Aussies have done over the last 20 years. I really do. I really do. They want people to go and live in Australia who will accept their customs, accept their culture, bring value to their country, and I agree with that. And if you listen to what John Howard and other PMs have said over the last 10 years, in the case of Islam, he said to them, you're welcome. You're welcome to come here and to have your children here and to bring them up as Australians. But if you're coming to take us over, you're not welcome. We need a little bit more backbone, do we not? In our church, in our police force, in our parliament.
So I'm curious, and I think that's why Leah scrolled down as well, because I watched this earlier and I was like, so when is that from?
But it looks old, like an older clip.
It does look a little bit older, but regardless of the fact of when it is, the fact that Nigel does understand it and he does see it, I think also should speak to how we should view Nigel and stop calling him this like traitor.
Yeah, and
because he's not. He does get it. He does see it, but there are only so many battles that you can fight at one time. So Nigel is taking on BREXIT, and in order to get BREXIT, he has to have. You're going to be over here, Leah. Okay. He has to be able to walk this tightrope. So Abominable Snowman says that it's about 2 years old. So we have this idea of understanding that Nigel gets it. He knows.
I mean, if you move my chair to the side, I can stand there if you want.
Nope, this is good. This is good. I'll trade you spots. But you do need, where's your,
in the head. It's no big deal. I don't mind.
But I need to pull, where's your cords?
It's up there on the right, all the way to the right.
No.
No, that's a whole other thing. I don't know why you opened that up.
Okay.
All the way to the right. Yeah, there you go.
All right. Are you going to be able to
I can
see it?
Here.
Well, then all they're going to hear is me, actually, from this mic, though. So, here, let's do it like we did last week. Or Friday.
Okay. Removing the chair. The chair has to come out.
Okay.
I'm not that small.
You are small.
Make yourself small. Okay. So, I took it down. I hope this will work. That song came through my head, and I just want you guys to know that we bring to you a lot of cray-cray stuff, okay? And suicide bombing, terror bombings, Greta Thunberg crossing over the ocean. We got socialist commies. We got all kind of crazy things. But, like, at the end of the day, and at the beginning of the day, and in the middle of the day, okay? Your hope is in him.
Right.
And I actually have a lot of good things to bring you guys, because when we're talking about these things, you see men like Salvini making a change. You see men like Farage making a change. You see men like Donald Trump making a change. And their common denominator is the Christian, historical Christian, Western principles that have guided us for years. And why do we even talk about it? What are these principles? We want to see children freed from slavery and sex trafficking. We want people to be free to live out their lives according to life, liberty, and their pursuit of happiness.
Right.
And as Christians, we wake up every day, and it's not just our job for us to, live our lives the way we think we should live them, but we want to make sure that everybody else has the same freedoms that we have, and that if we don't have enough freedoms, then we need to fight for those freedoms as well. And that's our job as Christians. It's our goal as Christians, and it's our duty, and it's actually a great thing as Christians. It's something that we get to do. We get to wake up and fight for justice. And the social justice warriors over there, they're not fighting for justice. They're crazed, and they're brainwashed in their brains. And we just want to give people truth. And once people have the truth, then the truth will set people free.
Exactly.
And our job is to get people truth. So
I love it.
Remember, we have a P.O. Box.
We do have a P.O. Box 107, Milford, Ohio 45150. If you want to send us your letters, we will read them on air. I actually got an email, and I don't read all emails on air. But if you want to send us your letters, but anyway, I got an email that I do want to read, and I don't know when I'm going to get a chance to read it, but I will, from Carrie, talking about sex trafficking and kidnapping. She has a personal story and experience that is definitely worth sharing. But this Friday is Uncle Jack's birthday.
Oh.
So we are going to be very busy this week. We are trying to prepare. I already talked to Mom about it. And I think we are probably going to end up taking this entire weekend off of doing shows. So we probably won't do a show on Friday. We may. You can check back. I'll probably let you know. I'll probably do a short video, letting you know if we're not going to do it. And again, on Sunday, we're having his children, our cousins, over to celebrate his birthday. So if we did a video, it would be well after they left and probably in the evening. So for sure, not on Sunday. No show Sunday at 1 p.m.
So I guess we're going to really have to...
But then the following week, we would probably make up for it big time. But I do think we might just take
something during this week.
I'm hoping not to, only because we've got a lot going on, and I really want to get the deck finished. We're going to be butchering chickens on Wednesday. We have to prepare for our uncle's birthday. Then we're going to be butchering chickens on Saturday, and we have a lot of pet visits and things like that. So we have a lot going on this week. So I think that it's best to put it out here today. This may be the last time you see us for a little while. But I promise to make it up for you.
I'm
so perhaps
sad. We're going to make a video for you guys
maybe
this week.
On Sunday in the evening. We could plan on that. Like, let's say if we do a show on Sunday, it'll probably be around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
We'll be able to make a video this week sometime.
Okay, Leah may make a video.
I may make a video.
I really want to get this deck finished, guys. I really want to get it finished. And there's a lot I want to do in preparation for our chicken butcherings, which is going to take 2 full days out of this week on top of working.
We do have a lot going on.
So I think that
we have to take a work vacation.
We might have to, yeah. All right, so.
Well, we love you guys.
We do love you. And we miss you when we don't do shows. So thank you for being here. Thanks to all of our moderators. Why did you pull that off?
I just did it.
You're like a child. See, I'm the person. Raise your hand if you're the person that leaves the film on something. I do. You know why? Because there's actual instructions there telling you what to do. And now I know nothing.
Put it back
No, because now it'll have bubbles and it'll have little things in here. Leah she's definitely, oh no. So then I'll just stop talking because I touched your finger. So I'm not going to give you a hard time for pulling off the sticker that I've been keeping on there.
I got attacked by a wild boar.
Yeah, that's awful. Yeah.
Not really wild, but...
So Pikes Peak says, my mom showed us how to butcher a chicken. You have an excellent mother. That's a mother's duty, I think. Yes, or father's duty. All right, you guys. We love you.
God loves you.
God bless. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's actually the truth. Like, comment, and subscribe to Mass Faith 3 and Resistance Chicks. Ring the bell for notifications. Find us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. We love you. God loves you. God bless. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. Rest. Get in the Word. And we will see you back as soon as possible. Bye, guys.
I was cold.